Yesterday's call from the DOJ obviously drawing mixed reaction from voters and local leaders.
Here now to break down the legal arguments on the issue is attorney Jay Davis on this week's edition of It's the Law. Jay, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Jay, you've seen me cover it from the top to bottom. Nonpartisan elections have been my thing this year in the Georgia General Assembly. Now, I think the biggest question on my mind and the minds of the voters is how far can this really go? If we don't have a decision by September, October, could we have elections in December?
I would imagine that if all else fails, the old rules will go into effect and probably have the election during the first week in November.
Now, the DOJ is asking for political leaders to tell them how dropping political parties will affect minority voters, if it's going to affect their turnout, their participation. Do you feel like there's a valid argument to say that minority voters, if the elections are held in July, if they're nonpartisan, that minority voters won't turn out to the polls?
I think that minority voters actually normally are the most informed, and in Macon we're talking about minorities, we're actually talking about a majority, because blacks, according to the census, actually are a clear majority in this area. So we're sort of starting to refer to them in an incorrect way, but they do seem, there does seem to be a mechanism, and they're actually more informed than a lot of non-black or white or other race members.
Now, you spoke with
Senator David Lucas today. Yeah, he talked about, you know, the same thing about the disenfranchisement of the African American voting population, which is very important, and we know this because of the Voting Rights Act. Now, I guess we can segue into that a little bit. Some of the leaders are kind of depending on that act to maybe get thrown out, and then this whole issue would be a moot point. I mean,
well, from a Democrat standpoint, that's a very, very key issue, because blacks overwhelmingly vote Democrat. And a lot of people find it repulsive that somebody would assume that because somebody's black, they're going to automatically vote Democrat. They're not going to know. They're just going to go in there and vote Democrat, and not look at the candidates at all. Most people find that as a racial statement in itself. But they do overwhelmingly. If they're going to disenfranchise by going nonpartisan, it's going to disenfranchise the Democratic Party more so than the racial makeup of the non-white vote.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see what happens here, because this is a huge issue. We had consolidation first, now we have these nonpartisan elections.
You got a different time, nonpartisan, all happening at the same time. So it might have been better to do it in November and do the nonpartisan first, and then come back and change the date. Now we're sort of dealing with both of them the same.
Jay, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. And don't forget, you can send us your legal questions, and Jay will answer them right here with us on the air. You can email them to itsthelaw@41nbc.com.
And remember, we want to hear your reactions too. So if you have a question or a comment on this topic, you can tweet us at 41NBC or send us an email to news@41nbc.com.